God heard the tears you cried in secret. Now watch what happens. The secret tears heaven collected. My beloved child. Heaven heard. Every tear you cried in silence, every whisper that never made it into words, every night you stared into the dark wondering if anyone could feel your pain, all of it was heard. God does not need sound to listen. He reads the language of your tears, and every drop has already spoken on your behalf. The world may have ignored your trembling hands and weary heart, but heaven was awake the whole time. You thought your pain was invisible because no one saw you crying. But tears are never wasted when love exists above them. Each one that fell was counted, each one recorded, and each one turned into instruction. What you called breaking, heaven called birthing. The silence you feared was not punishment, it was preparation. You were not being abandoned, you were being observed by a love too careful to interrupt. There were nights when your own reflection looked like a stranger. You whispered prayers you didn't believe would be answered. You smiled in public and collapsed in private. You said, "God, are you there?" and the sky said nothing back. But I tell you, child, even silence was response. For when heaven plans restoration, it begins with listening, not talking. I, Archangel Michael, was beside you when your pillow was soaked with pain. I saw you turn your face toward the wall and choose to forgive again, even when you had every reason not to. You could have hardened, instead, you healed. You could have cursed, instead, you prayed. You could have quit, instead, you endured. That decision turned your tears into keys, unlocking doors that could open no other way. You asked, "Why does no one see me?" But they were not meant to, because what God grows in private blooms in public. The tears you shed in secret were seeds. And now the ground that held your pain is trembling with harvest. Something has been forming quietly. Not behind your back, but beneath your feet. Every step you take now will walk you into answered prayer. Those who thought you were forgotten will soon see the favor that never left you. What you lost will return multiplied. The people who overlooked your kindness will watch as heaven crowns it. You are not being rewarded for tears, you are being trusted with testimony. The storm did not drown you because it was never meant to, it was washing you. God heard every why, every sigh, every "I can't take this anymore." He didn't reject your weakness, he respected your honesty. Your pain was not rebellion, it was communication. You were talking to heaven the only way a hurting heart knows how, through tears. And now the answer is near. Do not rush this next season, it is delicate. What's coming has your fingerprints on it but heaven's signature over it. Doors will open without effort. People will arrive who feel like prayer in human form. Finances, relationships, health, everything that once leaked peace will be restored drop by drop until it overflows. My beloved child, this is your quiet resurrection. No announcement, no spotlight, just transformation visible only to those who truly knew your struggle. The same God who counted your tears is now counting your blessings, one by one, and He will not stop until the measure matches the pain you survived. So breathe. Rest. You are stepping into answered silence. Every tear you cried in secret has built a bridge, and heaven has already crossed it to reach you. The morning after the tears. My beloved child, the morning after pain never looks dramatic, it looks calm. The light that slips through your window doesn't announce victory with thunder, it whispers it through stillness. Heaven works like dawn, soft, certain, unstoppable. What you could not see forming in your darkest hours begins to glow quietly across ordinary moments. You notice the smallest things first. Your breath feels lighter, the air no longer presses on your chest, and peace appears without permission. That is how answered prayers arrive, humble, holy, human. You rise and realize you did not dream your way into survival. You endured your way into promise. The same floor that caught your tears now supports your steps toward new strength. Even silence feels kind. You sense that something invisible has shifted, though nothing outside you has changed yet. That is the mystery of heaven's order, it heals inside before it manifests outside. Archangel Michael stands at the edge of your morning, his armor reflecting light gentle as mercy. This is restoration in progress, he says. Not fireworks, but function. Not spectacle, but stability. He points toward your reflection in the mirror. You look, eyes once dim now shine steady. See, he continues. You no longer wait for peace, you carry it. People who once wounded you cross your mind, yet the sting is gone. Their names no longer shake your voice. Forgiveness has replaced reaction. That is deliverance disguised as maturity. You whisper, "Thank you," and heaven records it louder than a shout. Gratitude is the language angels translate fastest. As the day unfolds, small signs multiply. A message of kindness arrives from an unexpected place. A task you feared turns effortless. Even the weather seems to agree with you. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The universe recognizes healed energy and rushes to meet it. Where pain once drew resistance, peace now draws provision. The same roads that led you to despair now lead you to destiny because your heart finally walks aligned with heaven's rhythm. Michael walks beside you through this quiet revolution. You see, child, he says, the morning after tears is not about getting back what was lost, it's about becoming what was promised. He gestures toward the horizon where sunlight climbs slow and patient. God does not rebuild broken things the same way. He refines them into something that can never break again. You smile without trying. That small curve on your lips becomes a declaration across realms, I am still here, and I am not the same. Every scar now glows faintly like gold veins in stone, proof that pressure created strength, not ruin. Heaven celebrates not with noise but with alignment. Every element of your life begins to click into place like notes returning to the right melody. Evening approaches and peace remains. You sit by the window watching the sky shift from amber to violet. The day feels sacred though nothing spectacular occurred, and that is the miracle. You have entered the simplicity of answered prayer. No announcement, no applause, just the certainty that God heard, acted, and finished. Archangel Michael lowers his sword into the earth beside you. Rest now, he says. The night that once frightened you will never hold you again. Tomorrow will greet you as an ally, not an enemy. The same heaven that counted your tears now counts your laughter, and neither will be wasted. You close your eyes. The wind moves softly through the curtains, smelling of rain and renewal. Somewhere deep within, the echo of divine promise whispers. You cried in secret, but joy will visit openly. What broke you became the bridge. And this morning, heaven walks on it to reach you. The signs of answered prayer. My beloved child, when heaven moves, it rarely arrives with noise. It shows itself through order. One moment feels lighter, one conversation turns kinder, one closed door suddenly unlocks without force, and you realize something unseen has shifted in your favor. That is the rhythm of answered prayer, quiet, accurate, unstoppable. In the beginning you wonder if you are only imagining it. But heaven delights in subtle proofs. The same God who painted galaxies chooses to speak through gentleness because peace travels faster than thunder. The first sign is always stillness. Where chaos once lived, calm now settles like soft rain. You wake without dread, you sleep without begging for tomorrow to hurry. That calm is confirmation. You are being carried, not chased. Archangel Michael walks beside you in the hush of morning, his presence faint but steady. Look closer, he says. Deliverance wears ordinary clothes. And as you look, you notice, the friend who once stopped calling suddenly messages again with sincerity, a relative who never apologized begins to listen, the job that once drained you starts to value you. These are not accidents. They are heaven's handwriting disguised as daily life. You begin to receive what once felt impossible. Bills resolve, doors open, the right people appear at the right hour. But the greater miracle hides deeper, your heart no longer trembles when you remember the past. The memories still exist, yet they no longer rule the present. That release is redemption's signature. Michael smiles faintly. God never repairs with glue, he says. He rebuilds with light. You feel that truth hum through your chest. The same spaces that once held anxiety now hold awareness. You start noticing beauty again, the way sunlight scatters across your table, the rhythm of footsteps in a busy street, the way laughter sounds when you let yourself join it. Every detail whispers, see? You are alive, and heaven is here. Days turn into weeks, and gratitude becomes natural speech. You thank God for small things without rehearsing how to say it. That spontaneity is another sign. Faith has stopped performing and started breathing. You don't need constant reassurance anymore because presence itself has become proof. One evening, as twilight gathers, Michael lifts his hand toward the horizon. This, he says, is not the end of prayer, it is the transformation of prayer into participation. You prayed for help, now you have become help. You prayed for peace. Now you create peace. You prayed for love, now you embody love. His sword gleams once, catching the fading sun, then rests again. That is how heaven measures answers, not in what you receive, but in what you become. You nod slowly, feeling warmth spread through every memory that once hurt. The journey has turned full circle, the tears you cried built a path for others to walk safely. People begin to find comfort in your story, not because you preach, but because you radiate what healed you. That is testimony in its purest form, light that remembers darkness without fearing it. Night deepens. The stars rise one by one, each a reminder that hidden things can still shine. You close your eyes, hearing heaven's quiet voice drift through the wind. These are your signs, beloved: peace where panic lived, laughter where loss spoke, strength where sorrow stood. Keep walking. The prayer is not only answered, it is alive, and it walks beside you. The season of overflow. My beloved child, after long seasons of holding on, there comes a moment when heaven stops filling your cup and begins to let it pour. This is that moment. The days of barely enough are folding behind you, the air itself feels wider. You can sense movement in every direction, quiet opportunities appearing like sunrise through fog. What once trickled now flows. Overflow does not arrive to impress, it arrives to remind you that lack was never your identity. The same God who counted your tears now multiplies your laughter, not as payment but as partnership. You have proven trustworthy with little, and now you are trusted with more, not to possess, but to pour. Each blessing that reaches you carries a hidden assignment: heal, help, plant, protect. Archangel Michael walks with you along a road that gleams like wet gold after rain. This path, he says, was paved by your patience. He gestures to the trees bending slightly toward you. Even creation recognizes restored peace. Heaven expands through those who stay kind in scarcity. Now abundance follows the same trail kindness built. The first overflow comes as ease. What once required struggle now responds to grace. Conversations open doors, ideas meet provision, people arrive with answers you stopped searching for. This is not coincidence, it is synchronization. The universe has caught up to the faith you practiced in private. The second overflow is courage. Fear that used to whisper reasons to shrink now falls silent. You step forward without overthinking, and things begin aligning faster than logic allows. Heaven's timing no longer intimidates you, it excites you. You finally understand that delay was never denial, it was design. Then comes generosity. You find yourself giving easily, time, understanding, forgiveness, even resources, because scarcity no longer lives in you. The more you release, the more returns appear. That cycle is heaven's arithmetic. What you give from gratitude multiplies back as grace. Michael stops beside a stream, his reflection shimmering like liquid light. Listen, he says, and the water hums softly. Overflow sings the same melody as gratitude. Keep it tuned through thankfulness. You kneel and cup your hands in the current, it feels warm, alive, endless. Remember, he continues, the miracle was never the river, it was that you learned to drink without fear. You rise again, heart steady, eyes bright. Life has not become perfect, yet nothing feels impossible. Even challenges look smaller in this light. You recognize that the answer to your tears was never merely provision, it was transformation. Heaven changed you so completely that blessings now recognize you on sight. Evening settles like velvet. Children laugh in the distance, lamps glow in windows, and you feel the gentle pulse of the world breathing in rhythm with peace. Michael's voice fades into the breeze. Walk softly in this overflow. Let joy flow through you, not around you. Every place you bless will remember your peace. And when you give thanks, the river will never run dry. The light you leave behind. My beloved child, every life that learns to heal becomes a lantern. You do not need to preach, your calm does the talking. People who cross your path feel steadier without knowing why. They sense something familiar yet rare, a peace that does not depend on circumstance. That is how heaven travels now, through you. You move through your days differently. The same streets that once witnessed your tears now echo with small laughter. Shopkeepers smile longer, neighbors wave, even the air feels a touch softer. The world has not changed, it is responding to your new vibration. Healing, when embodied, becomes contagious. Archangel Michael walks beside you quietly, his wings folded like dusk-colored silk. This is legacy, he says. Not monuments or fame, but the tone a soul leaves in the world after it learns love again. He gestures toward the faces around you, a child laughing freely, an old woman humming while watering her plants, a man pausing to let someone else go first. These, he continues, are echoes of your endurance. Every act of peace repeats itself somewhere. You begin to notice how the smallest gestures return multiplied. A word of kindness you spoke months ago comes back through someone else's encouragement. A prayer you whispered for a stranger finds its way back as help when you least expect it. The circle of grace never ends, it only widens. What you release in light becomes the architecture of someone else's hope. Michael leads you to a hill just before sunset. The sky burns gold and rose, clouds opening like pages of an unfinished book. Look, he says, this is how heaven writes your story, not in chapters but in ripples. Below, you see families gathering, lights flickering on, voices blending in evening calm. None of them know your name, yet the peace you carried has reached them through invisible threads of compassion. That, he whispers, is ministry. Night begins to rise, but it feels kind, not cold. The first stars appear, tiny proofs that light can survive any distance. You realize your tears once fell to this same earth, now their memory rises as illumination. Heaven wastes nothing. Even sorrow becomes starlight when offered back to love. Michael turns toward you, his gaze steady. Your work is simple now, keep shining without striving. Light does not try, it just is. Wherever you walk, may your presence remind others that survival is sacred and joy is possible. He lifts his sword once more, not in battle but in blessing. A line of light traces the horizon, connecting every heart that ever prayed in pain and found peace instead. Archangel Michael walks with you along a road that gleams like wet gold after rain. This path, he says, was paved by your patience. He gestures to the trees bending slightly toward you, even creation recognizes restored peace. Heaven expands through those who stay kind in scarcity. Now abundance follows the same trail kindness built. The first overflow comes as ease. What once required struggle now responds to grace. Conversations open doors, ideas meet provision, people arrive with answers you stopped searching for. This is not coincidence, it is synchronization. The universe has caught up to the faith you practiced in private. The second overflow is courage. Fear that used to whisper reasons to shrink now falls silent. You step forward without overthinking, and things begin aligning faster than logic allows. Heaven's timing no longer intimidates you, it excites you. You finally understand that delay was never denial, it was design. Then comes generosity. You find yourself giving easily, time, understanding, forgiveness, even resources, because scarcity no longer lives in you. The more you release, the more returns appear. That cycle is heaven's arithmetic. What you give from gratitude multiplies back as grace. Michael stops beside a stream, his reflection shimmering like liquid light. "Listen," he says, and the water hums softly. Overflow sings the same melody as gratitude. Keep it tuned through thankfulness. You kneel and cup your hands in the current. It feels warm, alive, endless. Remember, he continues, the miracle was never the river, it was that you learned to drink without fear. You rise again, heart steady, eyes bright. Life has not become perfect, yet nothing feels impossible. Even challenges look smaller in this light. You recognize that the answer to your tears was never merely provision, it was transformation. Heaven changed you so completely that blessings now recognize you on sight. Evening settles like velvet. Children laugh in the distance, lamps glow in windows, and you feel the gentle pulse of the world breathing in rhythm with peace. Michael's voice fades into the breeze. Walk softly in this overflow. Let joy flow through you, not around you. Every place you bless will remember your peace. And when you give thanks, the river will never run dry. The wind softens, carrying one final message. This is how heaven remembers you, not by the nights you cried, but by the mornings you created. The world will know you were here because kindness will linger where you once stood. That is the light you leave behind.